We'll call to order the Tocqueville City Planning Commission. Let's see, looks like we have the Pledge of Allegiance by Val Presley.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, does any of the commissioners have any disclosures or declarations?
I own the bed and breakfast on item number 6.
F6?
F6.
So just to clarify, yeah, so you're going to declare your conflict, but you can still vote. Yeah, so you don't need to abstain,
Okay.
or abstain from it. Okay, anybody else? No? Okay, and we need an approval for the agenda order. Does anybody want to make any changes on the agenda? Take a motion.
I motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, and we need a second.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We'll take a vote. Starting with Stacy.
Aye.
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 Okay, review of the minutes. I had found one error that was already changed in the document that we're looking at. And I think, Stacy, did you have another one?
6B, I think is what it is. Let's see. Maybe not. Oh, it just says that I made a motion and seconded it, and Val's the one who seconded that. No.
And which one is it?
On 6, let's see, F6B.
6B? Okay, gotcha. You got that, Dana? Okay, so if we can still make a motion, but it'll be with changes. Does anybody else see anything wrong for a minute? Okay, I'll look for a motion on that with changes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the changes.
Okay,
A second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. We'll take a vote.
Aye.
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 Okay, I guess we can skip the public forum since there's no one in here that want to, so we can skip that portion. Reports, I have a little bit to report. The city council did approve the zone change for the MPDO overlay, but they didn't approve the MPDO yet, the conceptual. I think that's coming up next week. I think they've worked out all their issues, but we'll see what happens. That's all I have to report. Does any of the commissioners have anything to report? Nope. Okay. That'll take us down to our business items, and it looks like all of them are home occupation and nightly rental permits. And usually what Ruth's been doing is just putting another little sheet in there that says all of them are good, or she'll list all the ones that don't have current business licenses. But they all have current business licenses, no complaints.
No complaints. Whiting's never got the business license.
So Whiting's,
There's
7.
Winery.
okay.
They're the.
Is that a year?
of Renovations.
So it's actually,
I did email them. I emailed all F1 through 7
Okay.
applicants that their renewal was up for, they were ending in 2 weeks tonight. But they were going it will expire until February, so.
so he didn't get his business license from last year either, so his home occupation actually defaulted. Or his nightly rental defaulted, right? So he doesn't have his business license to come in and finish the process. So when it was approved with staff comments, which was to complete the business license. So that's probably needs to be just I'm guessing.
He didn't revoke his permit.
Huh? It didn't validate his permit because he never got his business license. He shouldn't have he'll have to start the process over.
So you're going to deny this item F7? Due to the lack
Well-
of actual business license?
One thing we could do with 7 is table it until we do some more research if we want to, because we still have a month, right? But most likely, if he didn't do his business license, then we're not. I think he only has 30 days to do the business license to.
It's actually, they changed the code. Their business license will expire when the business.
What? Oh, yeah, but if he didn't get a business license, then his nightly rental wouldn't go into effect, period. So it's not like we're revoking it. He didn't finish his staff comments to actually instate it. So it was never instated.
So he was given the nightly rental permit, and you can see.
Yeah, that.
Put this on the big screen. It was issued contingent. Because there are as follows. So. If you look at item 7.
Yep.
That is not completed.
Yeah, I think it's just invalid.
Did you say you spoke to him?
I
Just send emails.
Oh, okay, I thought you
emailed everyone.
had no response from them. Okay.
I was hoping to
I'm fine to table it and so we can research it, but I'm pretty sure it's just going to drop off if he didn't validate it. So, but no other issues on the other 6 in there. I didn't see anything. So, if someone wants to make a motion on 1 through 6, we can do that.
I'll motion that we approve F1 through 6.
Okay. Have a motion. Looking for a second.
I second that motion.
Okay, have a motion and a second. We'll take a vote.
Aye.
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 Okay, and then on number 7, we could probably make a recommendation to table if someone wants to. Or do you want to, whatever someone wants to make a motion for?
I recommend we table F7
Okay,
until next month or until we know more.
okay.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We'll take a vote.
Aye.
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 Okay, that takes us out of our business items and into our discussion items. We kind of just moved on from 1022 sign regulations last time because Gary wasn't here. So I guess we better do the same thing this time because he's the one that's been leading that.
Can I ask Roger, is the reason for changing? Is there something like it?
It's actually started when Dan was still here, and I can't remember the verbiage, but I think he said that it's like that tall, it's that many pages, and he wanted it to reduce it. It's really not that tall. I'm just
Or just skinny?
I just wanted to condense it. Yeah.
The city was sued over the billboard signs, and part of we're part of that ordinance, the whole entire ordinance was put together because of that lawsuit. The city wished to use that lawsuit on those signs, but that was people remember it was used by that company. So the city attorney did not use at that time, so the city attorney would go along and there was pretty lengthy sign deal. I knew that it was on that on those too, so there was like a lot of stuff put in there to protect it against billboards because you want to ride with them to do it. Before this existed, there was a one paragraph that said no sign video, but I feel
Well, I think from just what we have reviewed it, I think Gary's gonna add to it a few things, not subtract, so. I think it was gonna try to go that way, but it's going the other way. Well, that's what the original goal was, but instead of, I think he's gonna be adding, so, get a little bit better. Yeah, we've been in there for a while.
So you want someone's.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's what he was looking at, is some of the commercial stuff, I can't remember, that's why I wanted him to kind of lead us on that discussion portion of it. The resort zone overlay. Does anybody else want to talk about that anymore? Before I jump to the next one. So the resort zone overlay, Jason was assigned to that. And me and Jason are going to try to get together and go over that and try to condense and get some of that done. But Jason's no longer on the commission, so we need somebody else that wants to take the lead on that. Anybody want to jump in there?
I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah, the last one, you want to take it?
I'll take it.
Yeah, okay. He does have the comments in there, and I think the best thing we can do is just try to search everywhere else with the anticipation of what's coming, which we know what's coming now, right? So maybe by the next one you can have us some pretty good comments to get in there. What I've been trying to do with some of these is trying to get them, like, what's been happening when we try to adopt all these things is there's all these weird comments that come in there, but if we can put it as close to draft format as we can, so then when we're looking at it, we just are kind of less changes rather than just a bunch of mumbled things. So I think it would help. It doesn't need to have the numbers where it's going to go by any means, but I think that'll help too. Okay, and then does that, anybody want to talk about anything on that right now, or does anybody else have any comments on it? Okay, that'll take us to the smaller lots, which you also.
Okay, I looked at the adoption of a R110. What I did basically is I looked at a bunch of different jurisdictions that had R110, kind of looked at RR112 versus R110, and really the only change was the R110 versus R112. As far as the setbacks, the widths, all of those things staying the same as the R12, which is 80 feet wide, with the same setbacks, all fit within that R110. So it's pretty straightforward. I actually don't have that paper with me tonight. I did send you a copy of the changes that would need to be, so that you could read.
She's got it up there too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We can read that if it's easier.
Yeah, so I just went through and put the red there where we would make the change. Everything else stays pretty much the same. And that's consistent with everything else that I looked at.
How many others did you compare it to? Because did you see the attorney's comments on there?
I did not see that.
So he's saying, also tell them that if we're going to go to something small, something like an R18, possibly even if we stay with the slight change to R110, that they probably should consider reducing the required lot frontages and front setbacks, because a smaller lot means nothing really if it still has these huge setbacks that create an insufficient building envelope. So
Yeah, and so I did see, I saw from the majority that I looked at, and I would say I looked at least 6 or 8 different ones. They all had the R or the 80 feet. I did find one that said 75, but
I think the 80 feet is the
then you're
minimum
talking
for.
about 25.
Yeah, I think it's just the 25 feet.
And they all had 25.
Yeah,
as well.
25.
They did. And I'm, yeah.
You betcha.
So basically, your 80-foot frontage, you said it's that house, you do a 60-foot wide.
Buildable.
Then the average depth of a home could be whatever they want as far as that lot. So if you go with just a 50-foot
Right, right. And that's kind of how I looked at it too, was to see what I could put on that. And that was before I went and looked at what everybody else showed as R110. And it looked like it was something that was doable.
Start getting into the R1, it introduces kind of a
Zero lot line type
Zero,
stuff.
well,
Maybe
that-
not that.
more of a such as that. Really kind of comes into effect. Sixth grade zone just doesn't apply to your setback. I would say never go less than 10 feet on your satellite setbacks. Just because you get into a scenario like they got a zero lot line on one side, and they got already or something back in there. They're very tight. There's no streets out there that have no parking streets, but you still park on the street. It really becomes, and if that's what you want to do, that's what you have to do, you know, they generate time.
No, and I can tell you, in the jurisdiction that I worked as a firefighter, those were definitely a big problem. So I would say that's something that I hope that we never really adopt here, where we're, can't put a ladder up between the windows of the building to, do that kind of thing. So yeah, it's, well,
You know, like 6,000 square foot is more than the group one density there. I would say
Is that the front setbacks in there?
so
Oh, on the
setback
on the
is
setback in the curb.
setback is, so they've got an interesting setback requirement. I can't remember if it's not a straight line, but it goes into the, kind of around where the building, the 40 feet, off the building, but to drive the car.
It has to be further back, 25.
So that they don't have backs of full trucks. And they
Stick 'em in there, yeah.
Into the sidewalks. If you're out for transportation time, or people parking like that, people be walking on the road. And it's not like walking into the sidewalks. And I think it's just about the sidewalk. One house.
Mhm.
Like I said, we look at, similar scenarios, we look at, a bunch of, Starville, the Rainbow Canyon, a bunch of other places. And, you're not even gonna do this, they're gonna do on these zones, basically zoning, and those. You're talking about, that's, these other counties, just like, I used to, together, when we went to the rest, we got to that.
I don't, myself, I think on this one particularly, we don't need to change that front distance either. Yeah. 25 feet. I think we should stick with that until we go down to the other stuff, but
That what you just said about Hurricane, I see that in the south of the resort zone overlay, and it shows the setback standard from the front being 15 to the front of the building and 25 to the front of the garage door. So that's the way the building is talking
I don't know, takes you a big trip. Or they do something that's, 25
it's a-
foot,
yeah,
25
it's
foot
not-
driveway. I guarantee it's fantastic.
Yeah, my truck has a 28-foot deep drive or garage, and I have about a foot before I. Yeah, yeah.
Kids riding bikes on the other sidewalks and not along the road, people just walking on the sidewalks. They have a whole lot here.
I think we can proceed with that draft form on it. Anybody else?
I'm just wondering, what was that code
That was, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't-
I think it was hurricane.
That was hurricanes, yeah.
This is
code.
what it was.
And that is in regards to a R18 though, right? Because we still have 80 feet for R1s 10.
Okay.
And that's what we are looking at as well. So I didn't see any reason to change it. Yeah, it's pretty much the
25 on the front,
same as our
10
10.
in the rear.
I would just say that obviously there is a need for smaller lot sizes. We are working with Sunrise Engineering to, we submitted a new dot technical plan assistance grant application. We should hear back on that in February. I've gone through the general plan, read it a couple of times. I would just say, kind of same thing Darren's saying, just be very aware, I guess, as we start adopting smaller lot sizes, of what we would like to see in the general plan. We're gonna rely heavily on input from the public, what the public would like to see as we move forward with that general plan. I know we have a lot of commercial that's gonna come in, a lot of, obviously lots and lots of houses. Some of that, if the MDO is approved, some of that, right, those obviously will have different setbacks, they'll have their own things that they'll do. But I would just say, as you look forward to adopting these, kind of keep in mind the general plan, maybe some areas that we would like to, I know our current one says we'd like to maintain, scenic bluffs and vistas and not blocking the skyline and things, and just that some of these, as you start getting smaller and smaller, right, people tend to go vertical. So I would just like to keep that in mind as we start adopting smaller lot sizes. I know the current general plan says, we want to maintain this way of life, including our property, right, paying attention to ag land and these sorts of things. So that would just be my only recommendation to do it. I mean, I know there's a need for it, but be cautious.
Well, hopefully everyone will be accepting this code. That's the first thing I did when I moved here.
There you go.
Okay.
So, keep in mind that we can like houses, all of them are construction papers, conforming, they all got trucks, and I agree with that. Get off the sidewalk, go down the street, like the last one, this and that.
Right, and along with our general plan, we're gonna be looking at our regional master transportation plan and also our zoning ordinances. Some of those are a bit more in-depth look and you can see where we are on both of those. So that's something to consider too, as we're considering the topic. So just a couple of things like that, but that planning is already in the works, but we'll find out on the funding, we'll find out in February, late February, early March. So just kind of as you're having things, I guess you're going through, just kind of keep in mind of some things, because we are definitely open to suggestions. We're gonna have some public hearings, we'll probably have 2, maybe 3 public hearings to get public input, but we obviously want in-depth input from the planning commission too. So let us know as things come across.
Okay, well, do you want to talk about that anymore? Can you, who puts this in draft format then? Is it you or is it Heath or who is it?
Once you guys get everything set for them, what we can see.
I think this is it. I mean, it's pretty much a
It
code.
was a pretty simple.
It's pretty much copying our R112 code and throwing it in there. But I think what we'll have to do is we'll have to renumber, R120.
And I have a little bit of a.
You have some of them in there, the 1010A-4.
Yeah, there was a little, I sent a little thing of what actually needed to change as
Mhm.
far as all the wording and all that. I can send it to you or whatever.
No, if you want to tell me, this is our.
Yeah. And that's what I had on my little email was talking about its place
So you,
I'll do the first one.
one, one,
It-
two,
yeah,
three,
exactly.
all. You change that chapter.
Yeah.
So R120 would be actually.
Okay, maybe we can have that for next meeting. Do you want to, do you want to look at the draft format one more time, or do you want to schedule for public hearing?
It's going to take you from.
There we go. Was that faster than 40 minutes?
Oh, yes.
Anything you want for next meeting?
Do you want to like briefly talk about the training thing? Do we need to do something on the training stuff? Or wait, Gary was,
Yeah. Well, we're going. We can do that.
what's that? Yeah, okay. I just wanted to bring everybody on the same page because we were doing a lot of training, like Kent was like doing we would pick a topic and then he would spend 10 or 20 minutes or sometimes even more because there's a lot of questions on a zone change, what is expected out of the planning commission. And so we've been doing quite a bit of that, but I don't know if we want to continue, but I mean, all the training is good, I think, so the more the better for me.
Especially with the turnover.
Yeah, and we'll have two new alternates too. So, yeah.
So, I'm sure that the comment from the public about why are we considering going to a smaller zone? So, what is
The reason we were going to a smaller zone is we were instructed to go to a smaller zone from many people, including the city council. Right. So we're going to adopt this for maybe some future use, but the reality of this smaller zone is that there hasn't been anything that's come through the planning commission since I've been on here that's less than R120. You know that? It hasn't made it through city council either. It's actually made it through planning commission, but it hasn't made it through city council. So, I mean, it's really, to me, and I've had this conversation till I'm blue in the face, is we can put it in here and we can do it, but if no one else wants to adopt it and use it, then it's not going to happen. But the other thing, yeah, it doesn't matter the person that's looking for it. It's not the developer is trying to develop it, and we're not letting the development happen. But the thing I've been talking about the whole time is we have the old town Tokerville and this valley here, and then we're going to have all the new development. All the new development, it doesn't fall under any of this. So they're going to have smaller lots. They're going to have multi-use. They're going to have all kinds of stuff out there that doesn't even apply to this regulation. Yeah, we don't know that yet. Yeah. So my argument, or not my argument, my point when we're adopting smaller lots is we're looking at the old section of Tokerville, because everything else is going to be an MPDO pretty much guaranteed for the density bonus. So there's a few other places, maybe out in Anderson Junction, but pretty much the established areas of Tokerville, it's only going to, so I don't really even see this coming in. Yeah.
So does this open an avenue of somebody splitting their lot and selling the back part of it?
They would have
Because
to
then
come,
they wouldn't be able
they would
to.
have to come and do a
They would
simple
have-
subdivision. They'd have to do the conceptual preliminary all the way through the whole thing. So,
But they could do it. if they
but
wanted.
you could do it on any of them, but yeah. You could split an R120 and go into this.
Right.
R110.
But most of the lots in town, they're half-acre lot.
The thing that saves us is that 80 frontage, because most of the time when you split them, it saves that character. And it's in a recorded subdivision. It's really hard to do that also. So
This has been my question: is where did this come from the beginning? So I don't know.
so
Was there somebody that was trying to
it's
get
actually, it's come from the legislation all the way down, because the legislatures are asking everybody to
make more
make more
affordable housing.
affordable places. And just because, and the whole thing is like, just because you have a smaller lot doesn't mean it's more affordable. You know, because if you build that smaller lot on the prime piece of property with a great overlook, that small property is going to remain the same for more money to purchase it. Doesn't meet affordability. to
Right.
me, you know, so.
Yeah, by the time you go through everything for subdivision, that makes that lot fairly expensive.
Because I like what the general plan says, and that is to keep things open and nice and
Yeah.
small towns.
Okay,
We need to talk about Stacy coming on
Stacy was
Commissioner?
sworn in, he was sworn in to be an alternate, just like everybody, so
Right.
he just steps up.
We will advertise for positions.
And if anybody knows anybody else that wants to, then
You know, the process could be similar to what just happened in the city.
okay. That's cool.
And what am I going to do the rest of the night?
I know, that's nice.
Oh, when I looked at the agenda, I was like, oh.
All right, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I motion we adjourn.
Second?
Second your motion?
Okay, we'll take a vote.
Aye.
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 Okay, meeting is adjourned at 6:35.